Hi, everyone. Do we have anybody coming in? Yes, we've got 21 people. Thank you so much for coming in and for your patience. Today we have been having a little bit of a technical issue. So good to see you again. We've got 71 people coming in. Hello. Welcome to Lean Project Management. All right. So since we are already running out of time, let's get started. Last week, we talked about the idea of project management. To recap what happened, basically, we are all project managers. We manage our lives, we manage our time, we manage how the results are coming in with all the things that we do every day. Cooking a dinner is a project. Building a bridge for the country is a project. Applying for university in the US is also a project. The definition of a project is anything that is unrelated to the everyday routine work, and that can be quantified in terms of there's a concrete result, deliverable, there's a beginning, there's an ending, there's a limited amount of resources, which brings us to the point, why should we care about project management? If our mothers are people who are cooking every day and they have a project every day at dinner time, then can they be project managers? Actually, the project management is very necessary because for countries like Vietnam, where we need to have a lot of things that is newly developed, we have a clear goal, opening a school, a hospital, dealing with the COVID-19 situation. There is a clear beginning and there's a clear ending and a clear deliverable of what we want as a result. And because we only have a limited amount of resources, we only have a limited amount of time, human power, money, opportunities. So we need to do in our best scientific way in order to manage so that the project are delivered the right result at the right time, at the right budget. It doesn't go over budget, it doesn't go over time, and so that we can manage everything as it's planned to be done. So project management is very necessary in countries like Vietnam where there's a lot of development. It's a very important skill for any professional person in order to have to be able to be equipped for real life and real work. That's why there are a lot of institutions that provide training as well as certification for project management, as such as the Project Management Institution, PMI. There are a lot of certificates, including PMP, CAPM, and these are the projects that are usually the industries that need this kind of certification or require that their employees have that is construction business, nonprofit organizations, non-government organizations, the United Nations. Actually, I was lucky enough to be able to join one of the courses, and I realized that the United Nations and their organizations, such as the World Health Organization, UNICEF, UNESCO, all of these institutions, they send their employees, whether you're from administration, you're from finances, you're from project groups, go train in other countries every year, at least 1 or 2 times. So this is a very important skill in the 21st century and in the professional world. Last week, we talked about the basic of project management, which is making everything as planned. It has 5 different phases. We have initiation that does all sorts of problem solving in order to understand the clear vision, as well as the requirement, the steps, the ideas, the questions, the assumptions, anything that we need to investigate in order to learn about the project, about what needs to be done. Then we have the planning phase. Once you have gathered all the necessary information, we will plan. We plan for the budget. How much money are we going to spend? What are we going to spend it on? How are we going to spend it? Who is going to spend it? For what? So those are the planning for the budget. Planning for the time, we have to break down every single phase, every single task, who is going to do what, when, and what is considered okay. That is planning for the task. Planning for the human power. What is the structure of our project management board? How many people will we need on that board? Who is going to be on that board? What skills do they need to have? What is their task? Planning manpower. We have to plan all the other things, stakeholders, investors, How are we going to communicate? Do we have a reporting system? Do we have to have meetings all the time? How often are those meetings going to be? Etc., etc. That is the role of planning phase in the project management. Then, and only then, do we go into execution, which is actually implementing, carrying out the work, actually getting our hands dirty and make the project happen. After that, during that, we have another phase, the fourth phase, which starts from the beginning, from initiation all the way into execution and ending, which is monitoring and controlling. That is the biggest part of project management. How do we control? Through reports, through meeting, through our organizations, through our reporting systems. What is that we use to monitor it? Because the difference between a project manager and just an amateur worker is that the project manager has the skill, the task, and the time that he can, at all times, monitor the growth, potential, cost, human power, resource allocation, and the quality of that project. And the ending is the closure. In my experience working in Vietnam, project management is not a very prominent subject because we do a lot of things by the ear. We do it by our own experience. We don't usually have a lot of systems, and that also makes it difficult for us to carry out development project. I myself have problems with struggling. I myself am struggling with project management in Vietnam. The main reason is first the communication. Communication is one of the very important aspects of project management. We need to have not only consistent and regular communications, but it has to be efficient communication in different files and formats. So my Vietnamese colleagues and counterparts, I drive them crazy because I write memos at every single end of the meeting. I try to bring the memos at every beginning of another meeting. Documentation, sending emails, getting approval, signature, all of these things seems a little bit unfamiliar to the Vietnamese world, in which I actually really appreciate the state agencies, state governments, state companies. They are crazy about that bureaucracy. And in this case, it's actually good to have bureaucracy. The second thing is, apart from documentation and communication, it is the work breakdown structure. A lot of time I realize that people give tasks by orally, by mouth. In my experience, we don't do that. We have project management plans. We have project management software where every single task, every detail has been documented, and use software machines to control the result and communication. We don't depend on somebody's memory to remember what to do. We don't depend on just pen and paper. We depend on a lot of big systems that make sure that there will be no mistakes in carrying out. And lastly, there is not much of a closure. A lot of projects go over the budget. A lot of the projects go different, in a different direction, completely different direction as per the initiation stage or the planning stage. And also because there's no closure stage where people communicate what needs to be done after that, after done. What do we need to do more? Do we need to improve it? Should we have a post-mortem report, a post-mortem meeting where everybody talks about how they thought the project is going, evaluation, scoring, reporting, KPI management, and it's not very prominent. So it's a sad thing, and that's why we are here, to learn different kind of project management. So remember, project management is not only a skill, it is at the same time a kind of mindset that you have to have a management mindset. What makes a difference between a CEO and the worker? Does it mean that the CEO is born with some exceptional brain? No. Does it mean that they were born in some situation? No. Does it mean that they eat some kind of different diet? Definitely not. So a manager and a normal worker is different in the terms that the manager has the mindset of a leader and a manager. He's always trying to manage. He doesn't want everything to get out of control. He also has a skill and experience to identify risk, manage risk, and resolve risk. And that's the difference thing between a project manager and a non-project manager. So last time we talked about the oldest, the most traditional way of project management, which is the, okay. I'm sorry. For a moment, I thought that we are out of the internet. So the management of in the waterfall style. The waterfall style, which means like a waterfall where water falls from the upper part to the lower and lower and lower part. It's kind of like a staircase where you have to walk down one step at a time. So the waterfall method was the most traditional way of developing software. But nowadays, in 2020, we don't do waterfall very often. Waterfall, however, is still kept in the construction business. The reason why? Because the waterfall philosophy is you have to plan in the beginning. You are not allowed to go back to replan. So you have only one chance of success at planning. You have only one chance of initiation. You have only one chance of getting all your questions answered at the beginning. If you fail to do that, the end result will be catastrophic. So why do we use something like that? The reason is for certain industries such as construction, the industries that last for a certain period of time, and where it needs precision from the beginning, from the day one. Waterfall becomes very popular, especially in the case that, for example, in construction, you need to build the first floor before you go to second floor and third floor. Everything is in a consecutive string. If projects are in that form, you can do waterfall, but it's no longer popular because we've got other solutions. Today, I want to talk to you about something that is equally important as waterfall, a different style, a different method, a different mindset, which we call lean project management. The lean project management is, in order to understand it, we need to understand the origin of the name. It was very interesting because this way of project management was not done by scientists, was not done by other groups, but was done by businesses. The amazing thing is these are the very well-known brands that we know about, but we only know about their products. We don't talk much about their contribution to the world in terms of knowledge, skills, and know-how. So about 100 years ago, which is a very long time ago, the Ford Motor Company started making cars. So before that, the cars were made in Europe, were kind of craft production. Craft means that it's kind of like a piece of art where each person will do it from the beginning to the end. And you will have to put one piece at a time at a certain, it's kind of like making craft stuff. However, the problem with that, what is the problem with these things? In Vietnam, we have a lot of craft villages. We have Vạn Phúc that makes silk. We have Bát Tràng that makes pottery. We've got a lot of villages that are still doing craft. What is the disadvantage of craft villages? If you can, please give me your comments below. Think of craft villages like, hello. Oh. Hello Long, hello Thọ, hello Mai, hello Huy, hello Ha. Thank you so much, Ha. That's very flattering. So, hi Dan, nice to see you again. Great questions, Nguyệt Anh. Nguyệt Anh asked two questions. What are the best way of communicating with Vietnamese partners? And secondly is, what kind of project management software do I recommend? Great questions. Before I answer, I'm now going to answer Nguyệt Anh's question. But for those of you below, please tell me, what is the disadvantage? What is the problem? What is the need for project management if our craft, what is the problem with craft? So we've got Trần Minh Hải who says that they cannot be mass produced. Can you elaborate more? Why? How? What's the problem? Hello, Will. So, Nguyệt Anh, thanks for your question. As people are answering in the comments, please engage. Let's talk. I'll answer Nguyệt Anh's question. The first way with communicating with Vietnamese partners, one thing I absolutely abhor, I hate it, I hate it, is for Asian countries. We use our chat channels. I hate them. In my old companies, we use Viber. And, you know, in one day, I'm not sure. I hate it so much that now I have abandoned my Viber. It gives me nightmares because my ex-boss and my colleagues and my friends and partners always use Viber to talk about business. I hate it. I think it's so unprofessional. Now I can say it, I think. Sorry, boss. But firstly, the verbal communications get lost inside of a chat. Secondly, it takes too long to type on your phone. Thirdly, it flows away. When somebody's talking, you get, you know, hundreds of messages and you never know where it's at. Lastly, our brains is scattered when we are on chats, so it's not very easy for me to do that. In the past, when I was working in the US and in multinational corporations, what we like to do, we have so many channels. I use a lot of channels. For example, for big important things, meetings. In order for official handouts, for official reports, paper. For information providing and files providing, we use either a cloud-based, like Google Drive is fine, and you send in all the library on all the documents by email so that somebody else can come back and talk about it and find it. We don't rely on informal communications like chat. For regular communications like, hey, can you send me this file? Or, hey, what's up with that? The updates? Then we will use our internal chat system like Slack or something like that, but specifically made for project management. Not the chat that we talk to our friends and family, not like not what we use for. I'm sorry. AC guys, can you please turn off your mic? Can you mute your mic? You're on the. Yeah, thank you. So we don't use that kind of communication, informal communications. What software, so now coming to the software. I have used almost every single software there is in project management. So a lot of people will start with Trello. Trello, I love it. I am a big fan of Trello. I am crazy about Trello. And in the next session, next week, we will learn about Trello and why I love Trello. You will understand why amazing it is, okay? So with Trello, it's very good because we will talk about Kanban. Kanban is a project management way. We will discuss next week. However, Trello is horrible when you're managing big teams and when you have deadline and tasks piling up. So it's probably good for small projects, internal projects, student project, small project, basically. For the bigger project, I used to be a big fan of Asana. Asana, yeah, even the name is amazing. I remember I watched one of the talk from the founder of Asana, and he is a big time meditator. He is a Buddhist and he meditates, and he talks about how project management and all the tasks of the modern world of our career and work has got into the way of actually getting the work done. When project management became so horribly annoying, so stressful, that it makes it extremely difficult for people to keep up with the task and to actually deliver the result. So he created something very simple like Asana. It's not simple, by the way. It's definitely not. That has almost every single thing you wish for in a project management. Different kind of board views, task breakdown, assignment, time, communication, yada, yada, yada. But currently, I am using currently Teamwork. It's a little bit expensive. Excuse me. So it's like $10 or $20 per user per company. So if you have a very big company, it's going to be a problem. So with Teamwork, it's a little bit complicated, but and it requires that you really understand project management. If you do not understand project management, you will not be able to use that software. It's really definitely for the more advanced. So I hope that I explained your questions. Yeah, I agree with you. Emails takes forever, and that's why I have to warn you that when last year when I was working on multiple projects, I get 16 emails every day. 60. So it was impossible to answer all the emails. But what frustrates me is People don't channel the different kind of communication. In my case, if I need some information very quick or need to give a request, I call. If it's a delayed request, I send a text message. If it is a detailed information provision, you need to provide information, you need to send in files, you need to tell them the recap in absolutely clear cut precision, then I will use email. Only for something that is longer than this do I use email. Anything that's this much, no email. Those have to be done either by voice call, by text messages, by chat software, but corporate chat software, or yeah, I don't use this kind of like 2-line emails. I hate them. Hey, can you send me this? I hate it. So anyways, sorry about that. I am a little bit obsessed with this and I get so much bad experience. Exactly. I told you. Asana is like it is exactly the yoga poster. Like I told you, the founder, he was very into meditation. He was a yogi, and that's why he wanted to create a Zen project management. Because honestly, even though now I'm here teaching this course, project management will drive you absolutely crazy. Because it's difficult to carry out, because it takes a lot of stress, because you're managing everything, because it makes you into a crazy micromanaging monster. So yeah, be careful, don't go crazy. Anyways, let's go back. So the reason why the craft businesses are having trouble, and we don't want this kind of craft business, is because they cannot be mass produced. Completely right, Mr. Hai. However, the problem with that is not only that it's not, why is it not mass produced? Why was it difficult? Because A, it's heavily reliant on that one person who's doing everything from the beginning till the end. You cannot break it down to different phases. You need to be reliant on that artist, on that artisan, the one person who's able to do that. And of course, one person, the efficiency of one person is low. So of course, you cannot do it in large quantity. That's number one, mass. But you cannot even do it at the consistent quality. You will have something that's extremely good, and you've also got something that's extremely bad. So slow, expensive, and not consistent in quality. That is the problem with craft production. And that's why in Europe in the 1890s, it was impossible to make cars universal. Henry Ford was very interesting. The reason, if you have followed the story of Henry Ford, if you read his books, you would know that he was visiting a line for pork butchering. So, you gotta kill the pork, you kill the pig and make the meat out of it. And you see the assembly line. That came the word line because the pigs are hung onto these ropes where they are pulled around the factory, where each person will do just one part of it, but very well, very fast, very quickly. So he thought that if we can do that with the food industry, why can't we do that with motor production, with automotive, yeah, with the car production. So with that, he realized that if he can break down every single task of making a car into different stations, and each person just needs to manage one task and do it extremely well, and there's someone who overlooks the whole thing and manages each different small stage, then it will be much faster and allows for mass production. So that's why in 1910 in the US, the mass production of Ford car gave the production system a new, more revolutionized way of making products. This later on, about 40 years later, was completely copied by Toyota. Toyota became kind of like a copier that competes with Ford. Excuse me. It's so hot. Oopsie. So Toyota, what they did was they optimized the mass production level of 500 Ford even more. So in the 90s in the US, while Mr. Ford, Henry Ford, thought more about the production system, how do we mass produce? In Mr. Toyota in Japan was thinking, how do we manage the production? So finally, in the 1990s in the US, they merged the two things and they created a project management method that is called lean management. The reason why it's called lean management is to be opposite to fat management. So As you can see, in the 1400s, Venetian arsenal in Venice, if you went to Italy and you visit one of their very important landmarks, which is the arsenal, they use an assembly line of manufacturing boat. The first historical example of flow of production where we manage every single task inside a big task. Then in the 1913, Henry Ford, he propounded the flow of production by experimenting with interchanging and movement of different parts so as to achieve the standardization of work. So the secret to mass production is standardization of work. However, there's a limitation to the Ford system that it lacked a variety and was applied to only one specification. In 1926, the whole process of production of large batches of Model T were essentially identical up through the end of production. So Mr. Henry Ford was in 13 years, he was very successful in actually making consistent quality of project. So after the 30s in the World War II, Toyota, inspired by the Ford flow of production concept, invented the Toyota way. Toyota production system. The system did not just focus only on the manufacturing process, but the process of the production itself. How do we manage the different moving parts so that they can move together synchronously into a deliverable? So then the Japanese industrialists and engineers, they developed the Toyota production system after the World War II. And in 2009, thanks to your Toyota way, Toyota became the #1 car market worldwide, even better at excelling and advancing further than their predecessor, which is the Ford cars. So finally, in 2011, Lean entered the Washington state scene where the Governor Chris Gregoire issued an executive order for agencies to start using Lean. So as you can see, there's a really good thing about the American administration is that last time we talked about how the Navy put in the Lean and the waterfall project management. And here we learn about them using the Lean method in the state government of Washington state. So the US government is very good at adapting. It's very good at making things systematic and applying different kind of technology. So the Toyota system, the TPS, is an integrated socio-technical system developed by Toyota. It compromises its management philosophy and practices. So this is the beautiful part about project management. It's not learning by heart. It's not, taking certificates and then suddenly you become an expert. It's about living that life, living in accordance to the philosophy and use the practices in order to get the result. The TPS organizes manufacturing and logistics for the automobile manufacturer, including iterations with suppliers and customers. So the input and output and production in the middle is synchronized. The TPS is a framework for conserving resources by eliminating waste. As you can see, it's a very Japanese, very Japanese philosophy. So the Japanese people are always thinking and looking for ways to kind of eliminate waste. Moving on. In the 1973 energy crisis, Toyota was the only Japanese firm resisting by working efficiently and effectively. So it was a very big crisis where the just-in-time Toyota system became the 5S system. So they identified that there is 7 waste suggestion system. They have visual controls, Kanban, we will learn next week. And there's a total preventative maintenance, TPM, which is amazing at machinery. If any of you are in engineering, you probably will have heard of TPM. In the same time, what they do is they use just-in-time. Just-in-time is actually a philosophy developed in the US by Mr. Sears. We'll talk about that in another course maybe. And there's automation. So the Lean was to name a third form of production system, one capable of producing more with less time, less space, fewer labor. It's more lean than the old system, the old Henry Ford system, that was kind of fat. So Lean system is eliminating waste. There are 2 basic concepts in the Toyota production system. One is the Jidoka. Jidoka is automation, meaning that automation with a human touch. They want to prevent waste, then they don't want to rely on all the human problems. So the processes can be automated by machinery. They can be visualize a problem to enhance their quality. Secondly is just in time, not overdue, not just enough, just in time. So they, instead of trying to micromanage the project by trying to do as much as possible, as fast as possible, the system, on the other hand, tries to do something just enough. So the Toyota has developed its production system around eliminating 3 enemies of lean. The first enemy is mura, waste. The second enemy is muri, overburden. And the last enemy is mura, unevenness. So that is the stability and standardization that is the foundation based on GIT, Jidoka. And in order to do that, we can get customer satisfaction. You can understand this system if you search their website. So mura. Waste can be defined in 8 types, 7 defined by Toyota and non-utilized skills. These are defect, making a mistake and that product cannot be usable. Second, overproduction. Overproducing is also a waste of time, waste of human power, waste of money, and waste of energy. Waiting, not having enough input to create an output is also a waste. Non-used talent, having great people but nothing for them to do. Transport, moving things around too much. Inventories, having to take care of logistics and inventory too much. Motion, movement, and excess processing. I have this problem. I'm still struggling as a project manager because I reprocess my stuff all the time. First, it is the trap of perfectionism. And secondly, it also is, the fact that if you have to do something and rework it over and over again, it's a waste. And my company is still currently struggling with over processing. So it's very sad. So, hello everyone. Hi. Keeping on. Okay. Yes, Hai Long said the right thing. So craft production is having difficulty to have consistency in quality. And we are trying to use the project management in order to smoothen out everything. So moving on, muri, overburden. Overburden is a result of mura, waste, and from removing too much mura, waste from the process. When operators or machines are utilized for more than 100% to finish their task, they are overburdened. So that's why in my company we say we like to work with lazy people because they will always find the short way. And that's something Bill Gates said, I think. The overburden is you do not want to create a system where everybody is overworked. You want to work smart, not hard. So mura is unevenness. So when you can see the fluctuation in customer demand, process time, product variation, there are so many crazy things that can make us overwhelmed. How do we process? How do we create equality, consistency between different people, between different production line, between different departments? So unevenness will create this kind of, imagine like a water pipeline. You don't want it to be overflooded. Hanoi has been, and Ho Chi Minh City has been flooded from the last rain. But at the same time, some parts of the southern province of Vietnam is struggling from drought, no water. So this kind of unevenness is creating a lot of problems. So we need to have a consistency in volume, in variation, in environment, and everything has to be balanced. Zen. So the lean management term and the philosophy originated in Japan. In particular, there's an association called Lean Management with Toyota Production System. And if you have an opportunity, I highly recommend that you take a course or get a certification in the lean project management. The lean production approach is the reason why Toyota has been very successful in their chosen industry for several decades now. It is also the reason why manufacturing industries all over the world are adopting the same Japanese philosophy. This is a major precursor of the more generic lean project management. So now let's talk about lean project management. The term lean was made by Toyota in 1980, but then it was researched in MIT in the US by a PhD, Mr. Jim Womack. And lean is a philosophy of management created by Toyota that enhances manufacturing and logistics and streamlines iteration. It's a beautiful Japanese Zen. So what is lean? First, we need to find the right thing we are chasing. What is the customer value? From the lean, we will map the value system. We don't talk about production. We don't even talk about the manufacturing. We talk about how do we deliver that value. Then, after mapping the value stream, we will create a flow. Finally, we create a plan for everything to move together at the same time. And then we establish the pull and pull everything together. 5, we seek perfection. We will try to eliminate every waste in the way. We will try to make it as lean, as beautiful, as unburdened as possible. And then we can finally deliver the value. So now it's not only used only in project management or production, it's a business methodology born from a manufacturing practice that is transforming the world of knowledge work. Lean encourages a practice of evolutionary change where we perfect everything every day, which is called continuous improvement. This is another story in another course, rooted in fundamental for practice of people. The word lean is being used to reflect the Japanese business approach in employing less human resource, less money, less capital, less material. And that is lean project management methodology focuses around a theme of efficiency, making yourself as lean as possible. Now that I feel really fat as a human being, I wonder if my life is lean enough, actually. It starts by identifying the value and then maximizing it through continuous improvement by optimizing the flow of value and eliminating wastage. Lean is focused on changing the way we operate to be laser focused, on just value. So the lean process, as you can see, before lean, we do a lot of low value work. We move this thing from another place and move it back, and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. It was complicated. It took a lot of time. It made us very tired. But after lean, we want to create kind of like a streamlined method that is faster, less costly, and more efficient. So the 7 ways, again: overproduction, waiting, transport and handling, overprocessing, inventory waste, motion, defect. That is the 7 ways that we have to throw away. Secondly, coming back, I think I have to self-reflect. I have a problem with overproduction. In my company, we always try to make too many options. We try to make too many stuff. Okay, one thing I need to eliminate. The second thing is waiting. Because we make a lot of things, so the next, for example, your accounting system, and you're just trying to buy something. If you just give me 3 options, I can choose. But if you give me 20 options, it takes me a long time before I can process the purchase decision and move to accounting. Then accounting has to wait a long time without anything to do. And then they have to do a lot of work at the end of the month, which is not good. Transportation and handling, we don't have the problem, but over processing. We keep changing and changing and changing and working on one task for too long. That is over processing. So yeah, from then we will have defects. Okay. So there are 3 types of lean methodology, which we can talk about later in the next sessions. So the first lean is Six Sigma. The Six Sigma was it kind of developed from a lean methodology. Second thing is a Deming cycle. PDCA is another philosophy. And lastly, is Kanban, my favorite, Trello. So let's talk about each and one of them. The Lean Six Sigma, which is DMEDI, identifies the primary reason that cause problems in project management process. It helps to reduce and eliminate wastage and time and resources. These letters stand for: first, define, then measure, explore, develop, and implement. Define. So step 1 is determine the project management scope, objective, resources, and constraint. This is equivalent to the initiation and planning phase in the traditional waterfall method. Secondly, measure. Define customer needs and using voice of customer, which means that you have to put yourself in the shoes of the customer and then determine what is the value that they need you to develop. And you have to measure it. How much, when, what's the quality, is it measurable? From then, you will explore. After you know exactly the problem that you have to solve, you will develop design concepts and high-level designs. That's equivalent to the design level implementation and planning. From then on, we will implement. Finally, we will validate the design with a pilot, so a test product. Establish control, full-scale implementation. Lean is something that I do with my team a lot because a lot of times we are dealing with something new. We don't know how to do it. We've got to define what is our end game here. What is the goal? But the goal is understood differently from one person to another one. So you have to be able to measure. If you say your goal is in order to cook dinner for your boyfriend, sure. How do you measure it? How much money are you willing to spend? How many dishes do you want to have? What is the quality? 4-star, 5-star? From grade 1 to 10, what is the one you can measure? Can you analyze and check for the flow? Can you design what to make first, what to make second, where to shop? Then you will execute and then improve it. So Lean Six Sigma, which is DMEDI, allows you to combat this problem and grow your business in the following way. You can increase profit, decrease costs, improve efficiency, and then help develop our employee. Because we want to one day not having to work so hard because we've got a team of people who can handle that. Lastly, Lean Six Sigma methods needs lean management tool. Works for small, medium, and large businesses. So what is Lean Six Sigma? This is very interesting. Lean Six Sigma is actually developed by Motorola. So Motorola, an American company, then copies Toyota, but improve it and call it Lean Six Sigma. What is Lean Six Sigma? So Lean Six Sigma is a project management team that when Motorola used to be the biggest cell phone manufacturer in the world, they realized that in every 1 million product, they will have 6 defect products. So 6 bad products in 1 million products. They realized that the lowest level of defect they can get to is 6 over 1 million. But that's already great, impressive. Most people don't have this. Think about your last test in university. How much grade did you want? From 1 to 100. What is the grade? Did you get 64 grade? That is basically the best grade you can have. Think about if you're a basketball player, out of 100 shots, how many shots do you miss? Is it 6 shots, 10 shots, even 50 shots? So our defects, our point, Michael Jordan practices every day in order to decrease the defects. And that is the Lean Six Sigma methodology. So in Lean Six Sigma, there's a really amazing thing. So they copied the Japanese way of karate, and they created this kind of like white belt, black belt. So you've got a white belt person, the person who understands the structure and goal of Lean Six Sigma. They have a basic vocabulary and they report the process to the green and black belt. So you've got somebody above you. It doesn't necessarily mean that they have to be a boss. They can be a well employee, but you need to have these kind of champions. They're called white belt champions. Then in your organization, you need to have the yellow belt. The yellow belt are the people who understand the Lean Basic. They report to green and black belts, but they participate on project teams and receive just-in-time training. So they have a little bit more evolution. Then you've got the green belt. The green belt starts and manages this project. This is a project manager. After having this kind of certification, you will get your belt actually in Lean Six Sigma. And you have Lean Six Sigma expertise. You become an expert, but you're not as powerful and as profoundly understanding as the black belt guy. So you provide training to others. Then you have black belts. Black belts report to master black belt. I don't know, these kind of terms are really confusing. So they report to the guy above them. But these guys are usually coach and mentors. They have really advanced expertise, but they don't do project management. They coach the project managers. So if you're a project manager, probably you are in the green belt. If you're in the project management team, you can be a yellow belt. If you are a coach, you are a black belt, and you are a master black belt, you are working above. You're working with the leaders to identify the gap, and you choose the project. You coach, you mentor, you lead, and you are ultimately responsible for Lean Six Sigma implementation and culture change. So you know what's interesting? The guy who is completely responsible for the project, the master black belt, doesn't manage the project. He just coaches people. This is a very Japanese way of working. It's talking about developing people and respecting people more than actually doing the work. And then at the end, you have a champion. A champion is an executive leader who drives the initiative. They help select the project and remove barriers. They support change and develop a Six Sigma culture. So those are the things that you will go through if you want to get a Lean Six Sigma certification and work as a professional Lean Six Sigma personnel. So the Deming cycle, PDCA. A Deming cycle is a management method based on a philosophy of William Edward Deming. He is a statistician, which is a mathematician, a professor, lecturer, author, and management consultant. This method is used for controlling and continual improvement, and it was named after his last name, Denning. The Denning method used the PDCA cycle when starting a new improvement project, developing a new or improved design or process or product or service, defining a repetitive work process. So it's kind of like automation. The PDCA cycle is in order for you to find a way to make it more automated, easier, and can be photocopied, copy, paste, in order to make the quality better after a period of time. So what do we do? First, in this way of project management, you plan, identify and analyze the problem, know exactly what you are trying to solve and what is the end result you want to get. Secondly, develop solutions to address this problem. What is the proper solution? What's the potential way that we can solve this? Then track the effectiveness of the solution. You have to check. You cannot just hope that this is going to be the solution. And lastly, act. Execute and apply the reverse. So it's a constant prototyping. You try, you plan, you do, you test your assumption, and then you finally act. And lastly, this is my favorite, which is the Kanban solution. And Trello, we can talk about it today as well. So, we've got people, only 95. I'm sorry, we are doing classes as you're probably at work. So you're probably very responsible people who are not skimming on work. So give me 1 second. So we will have a quality control called Kanban system. The Kanban system is, I wish I can show you. I wonder if I can show you. It's quite confidential, a lot of stuff. But we can show you some of our Kanban. So, developed as an inventory control system for just-in-time manufacturing by the engineer in Toyota in 1940s, Taiichi Ohno. Kanban is super, super simple. The reason I love it is because it's for stupid people. Oh, I mean, I'm one of the stupid people. So anybody can use it. It's foolproof. The word kan means a card, and ban means signal. The card system that controls the whole production and inventory. So happens this, you can use this in your real life, you managing your task. The term Kanban comes from the manufacturing at Toyota when they realized that they have to work with people and educate people on how to properly do the projects. But it was very difficult to train every single one person. So what they need to do is to make it so visible by watching that you don't need to retrain and coach other people. So it was developed later on, adapted by Mr. David Anderson, who was working at Microsoft in 2005. And then it became completely famous. It's a lean methodology in creating a flow of work while eliminating muda in the system. You can have a board like this. I wish I can show you guys the pictures of my old office. In my old office, we used to have this really big blue board where you can pin on the pieces of paper. So every day I would be writing down the papers. What exactly is the just in time? What is the just enough task for my team so that they are not overburdened? Then whenever employees come in, I would give them a card. This is your card for today. Thank you. They will put it on the to-do list. They will check which card they want to do first, and they put into plan. They plan for the card, then they develop it, test it, and deploy it, and done. So the life cycle of each card, as you can see from here, is moving to the right until it moves all the card to done. It sounds very simple. But if you look at the picture on your screen, you can see that, if you look at this picture, you can see that the to-do list has too many products. The to-do list has too many cards that makes it very difficult for people to move it to planning, develop, test. Hello. Oh no, where am I? Okay, moving on. So then you can go to Kanban is to visualize, is to limit. Don't make it overflow with work. Don't overburden yourself or your team. Manage the flow. Always go to the right. Always go to the right. Don't go back. Explicit policy, feedback loops, and improvement. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for sharing. So, sixth score of Kanban principle is visualize your work. Limit work in progress. Don't make everything open up. Manage flow. Make policies explicit. Implement feedback loops. Improve collaboratively, and evolve experimentally. How it happens is this. This is called the production flow. The products, workflow, and equipment and support. It's focusing on defining products, equipment, and workflows that can be produced in small lot of production runs being pulled by downstream by the customer. Excuse me. So it is oriented to getting the production to customer in the shortest period. How do we make it faster? Then we will plan. We plan the system, and every day we plan the functions. We will organize what is the best way, the leanest way in order to get the best fast performance. We measure the performance. So we will use a lot of tools. I'm not going to talk about it today. The 5S, sorry. This is also the 5S that you see a lot if you work with Japanese companies. You will see the 5S system is sort, always sort everything. Secondly, put everything in the order. Thirdly, shine, make it shine. Fourthly, if it works, standardize it, make it repeatable. Finally, sustain it and then protect it. So Jidoka is the automation. Just in time, we've talked about it, value stream map, it's really too much. And then Kaizen. Kaizen is the continuous improvement. It talks about a strategy where employees work together proactively to achieve regular incremental improvements in the manufacturing process. The effect is you can combine the collective talents of everyone, and each person can help another one to create a strong, unified body of people that a company can create an engine that continuously eliminate waste from manufacturing to the process. So the Kanban system, as you can see, is you can put it into a board where you have each a small to-do list. In this to-do list, each task is one card. You can move to the right, and over to the right. Okay. So coming back to the principles of lean, we have talked about just in time, Kanban, yada, yada, yada. So the principles of lean. First, we have to identify who we are trying to serve, who is our customer, and what is the value we provide for them. Secondly, identify and map the value stream. Thirdly, create flow by eliminating waste. Never, ever jump into a task without having a plan for it. Fourth, respond to the customer pull. What is that they want us to change? What is that they're trying to make us do? And lastly, pursue perfection. Try to make it perfect so that we can recreate this value system. What sets apart a company, a good company and a bad company, is a good company can consistently deliver value to hundreds, millions of different customers. And it has to be equally quality, equal in price, equal in cost, equal in time. So recreation, automation, consistency is the basic thing that sets apart great companies and bad companies. If you are an employee working for some company, if you're trying to get a better job, if you're trying to work for a better company, are you the one who is excellent at figuring out what is the value that your company or your boss is trying to look from you? Are you good at recreating your past success? Do you have a plan for everything you do that you know, and even the plans for the things you don't know? That is why you should learn project management. So, specify value, identify the value stream, flow, pull, perfection. That is the lean principle. Eliminate waste. Empower and respect human beings. Make sure that everybody is a good human being that helps each other create a great communication, a great ecosystem of people that helps each other to become better. Decide later, deliver fast, so do quickly. Amplify learning, make learning the first priority for everyone. See the whole picture and manage the whole process. But remember to always manage risk. So the benefit of lean project management is it's not, I know that for you who are sitting here, it's quite, I hate to say this, but it might be boring for you. The reason is because we're talking about mindset. This is not new information. This is not something you can learn just from learning by heart. It's a way of life where we have to learn the philosophy and ask ourselves what those values mean to us. So a mindset and a method. Lean is a mindset and a method to make sure that you manage well project and focus on what should be done at the right time. Then, what is the benefit of lean project management? Everyone has one source of information. Make it available to everyone that they can get. So, think about your emails, your text messages. Why do we use this kind of forms to give people information? Workflow with automated alerts. Why we use project management software? Because it identifies every single step. Our employees don't need to think, what do I need to do now? It's somewhere in the workflow. Success in broadcasting. You have to onboard everybody and make sure that everyone understands what's happening and what to do. Robust search capabilities. You have to be able to make sure that everybody can get the information they have in the right time at the right place. Built-in collaboration tools, chat tools, communication tools, file sending tools. You have to visualize data. If you go to visit again, if you see my office, you will see that all the walls are covered in paper and paper and paper. We draw on the walls, we draft on the wall, we finish a plan, we print it on the wall, and all of those things. We make it as visualized as possible that everybody can search for the information that they need. It needs advanced reporting and analytics. You need to be able to have a system for statistics that you can analyze everything and report to the right person. And from then, we need to improvement impact measure. So, analysis, identify the value stream, create a flow of material and obstacle, and find a way to use information, data, and requirement instruction to overcome. Pull concept is letting the customer pull the product from the company instead of the company trying to push out. So start with the customer. What do they need? How many products do they need? And let them decide how we should produce in order to serve them. Perfection, continuous improvement. Find a way to keep perfecting. The life cycle of the project is closely similar. Automate it, make it better, faster, easier, and learn from your past mistakes. Lean project management versus traditional project management. What is the difference? The lean, very simple. As I told you, it's kind of for stupid people. So it's simple and visual. I love it. Traditional, waterfall, super complex. Lean, management by sight. You see something, you change. Waterfall, by status reporting. So it's always a lot of writing reports. So it's kind of like Vietnamese state agencies, a lot of reports. Lean, use pull system, which means that you let the customer make and the boss make the decision, what do they need. Push system is that you determine for the customer, what do you push to them. Reduce non-value added work. So don't do something that's too much. In Traditional one, you speed up the value and added work. Here we reduce. Single item flow is lean. Every card go on the right. In traditional, you manage by batch, everything together. The right process will lead to the right result. That is the philosophy of lean. And traditional is we'll always get a result. It might be a wrong result. It might be a horrible result. It might be an inefficient result, but we always have a result. And quality built in is in lean. Quality inspected at the end is waterfall. In lean project management, we focus on asking questions. And in traditional management, we focus on providing answers. So the value stream mapping is an example. It's a little bit more about production. This is Scrumban. So I will talk about the Scrumban later after we have learned what is Kanban. So to recap what we talked about today, it's a lot of things to learn. So I don't think that you should learn by heart. My message for you today is actually, again, project management is something that we as Vietnamese people, we need for our country, for our projects. Anything that makes you unhappy, if you're driving on the road and you think the road is badly constructed, that is a problem of project management. If you're working in a company and you think that your company is not doing as well as you think it should, that is a project management problem. In order to be project managers, in order to be great employees, in order to be successful career people, we need to know that there needs a mindset, method, and philosophy in the way that we carry out our work every day. You can get certification, learn different software, but if you don't get the lean, the project management mindset, all of these certifications will go to waste. So the mindset, in order to know that, we talk about waterfall. Don't go back, one thing at a time. Lean, on the other hand, makes it leaner, faster, less waste. It was built, the first thing, when there was mass production, so that you can be more efficient in managing what you want to do. First with Henry Ford, then with Toyota. After Toyota, they developed in the 1990s the way that we can use this kind of same philosophy into production. Toyota was amazing because they used the Japanese mindset in less work, less money, less time, less people. Make ourselves lighter, go on a corporate diet, go on a detox in order to make sure that our work is no longer heavy. So the production system is based on the systems that we can, first, just in time. Don't do more than you are asked for. Instead of telling you, do more, do great, do big things, sacrifice for the company, they say, don't do more than you need, just in time. Try to automate as possible, be lazy as possible, have machines do the jobs of human. Eliminate these waste, control everything with eyes so everybody can control it, and have this kind of preventative maintenance. If you can do that, you use Jidoka automation just in time, then you will get stability and standardization. That's why, if you can see, the Japanese products are famous for their quality, are famous for innovation, are famous for the less waste, very smart, very precise. In order to do that, we need to know our enemy. Our enemy is Mura, waste, Muri, overburden, and Mura, unevenness. And we have to be able to eliminate all the waste. Don't create defects. Make sure that every product you make is a decently quality and even quality product. Don't overproduce. The market, your boss, your colleagues don't need you to do so much. Just do enough. Don't let other people wait. They have to work as well. So if any delay happens in this group, then you're waiting. You're creating waste in waiting. Non-use talent. You have great people. Get used to them. Make sure that they are optimized. Don't move things around. Unnecessary people, unnecessary things, transport and motion. Inventories. Don't have a lot of money, a lot of products in the warehouse without sales, without production. And excess processing. Don't do one thing too much. It just needs enough work on it. Don't redo it all over again. Then, if you can do that, lessen the burden of your people, of your company. Don't make them over-processed. And because of that, make sure that everything is evenly managed. Nothing is overly big, nothing is overly small. Nothing is too much like flooding, and nothing is too little, too few like drought. If you can manage every single thing in that, the lean management system is, you can buy a lot of books on the Toyota way, Toyota production system, the TPS. And if you are an engineer, if you're working in a multinational corporation, if you're working for the US Embassy, this is what we do, is also a project management. How do the people at the embassy manage the time for all of you to see? The machinery, who is checking the quality, who is communicating and cooperating with Nikki in order to carry out this class? Are we starting in time? Are we finishing in time? What is the quality for each lesson? That is all the project management. So thank you guys so much for your observation. If I can answer some of the comments. Hai Long here says that in the meantime, if you have any questions, please shoot, because we are not out of time yet. I think we still have a couple of minutes for answering Q&A. So if you have anything to ask, feel free to put it into the comments and I will get back to it. So thank you, Hai Long, for your comments. You said that it's a lot of new information that we have covered during the last hour. And for someone who is new to the topic, it's a little bit overwhelming. I completely understand. And I was like this. It took me 10 years studying this topic and taking certificate and going to study again and retraining. It's very difficult to do it remotely, to be honest. If we are in the physical class, it will be quite easy for me to have a workshop where you guys can have different plans and you can see how it's applied in real life. What is the method for you to do a big plan? I can even help you guys plan a whole construction of your house. If you want to build a house, I can help you make it happen. If you want to build like a 50-story like Gangnam landmark, I can tell you how to do it from the beginning. So in all, project management is a way for us to solve the problems that we have no information and no capability of solving before that. It's a kind of a magic, you know, it's like Harry Potter. You say some really cool mantra and suddenly some magic happens. It's a skill that if you can have the skill, you will be advancing in your career. You will have the skill to solve any problem that was presented to you. And your bosses will promote you, your company will value you, and you will become a leader and a manager. It's very difficult to say. It's from Zoom, from live streaming. So today I can only talk to you guys about mindset. I really hope that one day we can have the time to actually use a workshop to test your ability. Can you plan a dinner? Can you plan a wedding? Can you manage an event? Can you manage, you know, think about the New Year's Heineken countdown, the online streaming that we see every year. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Happy New Year. How does it happen that every year it happens at the same time? So we need to ask ourselves, are the VTV people lying to us? Is it late a couple of seconds every year, but that we don't know because we watch the TV? Or are they on time? No matter what, we have to think, in order to pull off such a big event, and nothing goes wrong during technical issues, internet issues, and everywhere in the place, the music, the Happy New Year song, the fireworks, the streaming, the live streaming from that place, from Hanoi, from Ho Chi Minh City, from different parts of the country. How does it happen so perfectly every year? How do people manage all of those things? So, all right, thank you, Long. I will try to give a structure later on. So if you have issues, you can rewatch this episode, and I wish to see you in the next week. The next session is going to be next week at the same time. We will start from 4 p.m. to 5-ish. And next week, I want to share with you the Kanban. So if you want, it's quite difficult for me to share because usually this material was made to be taught in a whole semester, which means like 10 to 15 classes. But we only have 1.5 hours for each session here. So I've got to select and nitpick, but usually I always go with history, principles, what it is, why it's made, what's the benefit, and kind of how to do it. So I hope that that was helpful to all of you. Thank you so much. And remember, your country needs every one of us to be great managers, create value for this society, and do some improvement in where we are. And that is the reason why we are studying, learning together. And hopefully with project management skill, you can have the skill in order to advance in your career, your job, and as well as help some people's lives. So thank you very much for today, and I hope to see you next week. Goodbye.